Yeah, welcome to Academy of Tone 177. Tonight we have a very special episode about the recap of Guitar Summit 2023, and we will introduce the new 1CONTROL, a new micro control pedal that we released at the Guitar Summit just last weekend as a little surprise for everybody. The other surprise that I took back from the summit is a little cold. Maybe you can hear I'm sneezing. It's a flu, nothing severe, but I have to drink my tea, ginger tea, and everything is good. I met so many people and one of them was sick. Anyway, yeah, I enjoyed the last weekend very much because it was so great to see all the industry people, the friends, the fellow musicians, other companies, new products, all the info from behind the scenes and stuff like that. Just phenomenal. It was the best Guitar Summit so far. Every year it's got bigger and yeah, really impressive. I think it's the best show for guitar and bass in Europe and maybe even on the planet. Before we go into my personal things, we recorded a little walk through the exhibition hall so you get a feel of how big it actually is and who was there and what was happening. A little video that shows you Mannheim, Rosengarten and the Guitar Summit 2023. Enjoy. Hey, this is the 2023 walkthrough Mannheim Guitar Summit. Follow me. So as we can see, everything is packed right now, even the entrance hall. And here, this is a new board with all the clinics, which is very cool. So you can see who is doing what at what time. Friday I was there here, Thomas Blug, that's me. And then I was Greg Koch, I was Thomas Blug, and I was blah blah blah. So all over the place. Moin.
Ich habe deinen Pappkameraden angestellt.
Wo ist der?
Oben am Stand.
Okay, okay. My big brother is at the booth. Moin, yeah. Sandy, the one and only Sandy. You are on camera. Mr. Nobels Tara. We had a beer last night. Yeah. Okay. So, Yamaha AMPX Line 6. This is a cool pedal I have to show you. Can you explain?
This is a double expression pedal.
Yeah.
And it moves on two axes, so you can use it like a normal expression pedal to the back and to the front,
Yeah.
and to the side also.
Yeah.
Just connect to expression pedal inputs, like for instance on the AMPX, which supports two expression inputs. I heard. I still need to try that out.
Yeah.
But I use it with a effector.
Super unique, super cool. We invite you back when we are ready with this pedal.
Sure.
Okay, Sonja Fenberg. Okay, then here we go. Moin. Tons of acoustic guitars. Boutique and distribution, you know, Friedman, Soldano and stuff. And of course, our dear friends Wilkinsons.
You're being followed by somebody you know.
Yeah.
Hey man.
Yeah. Good, good, good.
You okay?
Yeah.
How are you?
Yeah, good. Good to see. So, we are doing our wonderful Sam. So, and there are more booths on the other side. So we keep it short. So you get it upstairs. There's a tunnel that goes into the hotel where the seminars, like the master classes, are taking place. I've done mine there yesterday.
nice overview on the other side. Okay, we step by the BluGuitar booth on this side very shortly, and we will end up here later again. Julian. I mean, it's the early hours at the back of Kloppmann, not even there yet. We are the early birds. The one and only Gundi Keller. And this is before any of the public is coming. So it will be really busy in a minute.
Hey.
Moin.
Moin.
Ritter guitars. They're coming from very close from here, Deidesheim. And this is him in person. Just say hello, you are on camera.
I am on camera.
Yeah, always. Yeah, super. Yeah, this is all about custom builders for, you know, guitars, nice wood planks. Huge seminar rooms. Just have a look at one of those. Very unique. Soundcheck. Perfecto di Castro soundcheck. Yeah. Morning. Okay. So, there's more on the next level. Okay. You can see BluGuitar everywhere, from here to there, but we are coming back to our booth later. Kräuter pedals in Switzerland. So. This is the coffee area. Right, my really big brother. Larger than life. So, people can check out instruments and guitars and amps with a fat cap. And here is another super nice workshop stage. Hey, moin. That's good. So, look at this, vintage guitars. Servus. Yeah, just Great pickups. Pickup from Belarus, by the way. Belarus in English. Okay. Maybe they're cheaper. They have holes in them. Ja, wenn schon, denn schon, ne? Läuft schon. Ja. Da quatschen wir nochmal, ne? There's another full hall with electrics, but hey, acoustic, sorry. We go downstairs to the loud section. Looking outside, we can see the Wasserturm, that building, whatever it's called in English, water tower to storage the drinking water. Yeah, it's a historical building, pretty nice. You're on camera. Herr Kaffner from New York.
Thomas Blue from
Yeah.
Hamburg.
Come on, see you later. Downstairs, ta-ta-la. Because that's also improved from last year. They put a lot of money in getting the basement yeah, more attractive in a way. And now you can see the visitors are coming in. So in the next 10 minutes this place will be packed. But here's another great chance also for seminars. Yeah, moin. Siggi Schwarz, the world's famous guitar player from Heidenheim. Yeah. Yeah, tons of amps. Come on, we just do a little round here. Red 7, Driftwood, Black Star, Angle amp using Kettner, Orange PV, Koch amps, Sound City Fryette. Yoo-hoo. So, there's a little stage kind of at the end of this hall, and there's Mr. Weilbier from number 1 Hamburg. Ja, die sind gut. Ja. Okay, mach ich. Yeah, so this was Mr. Thomas Weilbier from number 1. Maybe you know him. It's one of the biggest vintage dealers in Germany, and I'm doing this world of vintage guitars for him. Yeah, this is the recording sofa with Peter Weyer. And I will probably give him my Les Paul, because he also pimped my Les Paul with his new wood trick. Okay, let's go up to our booth. You can see there's tons of things everywhere. And they're lining up for, I don't know, what's... Ah, there's my masterclass. Maybe they're lining up for the masterclass? I doubt it, but it's... Black Star, the evil, they try to copy me. Haha. And here we are. More cameras. So, and guess what? The first people are already on the test stations. The place is filling up. Nice. Okay. Here's my little brother. What we have to offer, of course, is t-shirts. Hey guys, if you don't have a BluGuitar t-shirt by now, the new one is the Iridium. Cool shirt. The one that I wear during the summer, which is this one, is my favorite summer motif. Today I'm Classic 1. Sometimes I go Future X. And we have the Academy of Tone. So that's the tour.
Yeah, what a great exhibition that was. And of course, I met tons of killer musicians. The only one that I personally didn't met was Aldi Meola. Other people met him, but for some reason I was so busy I couldn't make it. But I met Mateusz Asato. Wow, with Plini. No, some of the hottest players these days. And I met Greg Koch, American, backstage, you know, in the concert hall, which was cool. Doug Aldrich, who also played as a guest with Martin Miller. Yeah, this was cool. I did my thing, and he was, when I came back from my little 3 minutes of fame on that stage, he was really excited about what I did. And I thought, you know, I did my thing, but I enjoyed that. And he enjoyed even more. And he came back the next day on the booth telling me how much he liked my Strat playing. Yeah, Doug Aldrich, Yvette Young was there. Yeah, then there was Kefir Ohion. We played the year before at the concert. Of course, my dear German friends, Alex Beirut and Ali Neander. Alex, yeah, we sometimes play in the Rock Anarchy and whatever. And the other day I had the honor and pleasure to play that 45th anniversary of the Rottgau Monotones with Ali Neander. And Ali is just another German icon. Peter Weil was there. Then we have, of course, Trevor Wilkinson. I did an interview with him on the sofa. He was showing some of his new pickups, and we have our own little projects going on at the same time. There's always something cooking. Yeah, and I met a lot of industry people, Hub Kaffner from New York and Hans Thomann. Hans Thomann, I think he is the guy with the biggest music store on the planet. And we go back many, many years, and it's always good to have a personal contact to people like him. And he's a nice guy, and if there's anything, we can talk, which is also great. Yeah. Besides meeting the people, explaining the products, we had another some more people that I forgot about. Lasse Lammert was there, metal producer from the north of Germany. And then, of course, all the German guitar teachers like Fabian Ratzak, Justin Hombach and Bernd Kilz. Bernd Kilz on the very left, then there is Fabian Ratzak, Justin, myself, and what's the other? Azar is his last name, from Darmstadt. Oh man, my name, forget it. Very nice guy, killer guitar player. Anyway, Dennis mit Z at the end. Dennis Azar. Okay. On the Saturday night, I was joining Martin Miller for the evening concert, only for one song. I was kind of happy that I didn't have to manage the whole band since I'm so busy these days with what we are doing with BluGuitar. So that's the one side. So it actually was nice not to do it, but still it was great to be playing at least one song. We have a little snippet for you of my performance with Martin Miller and band. Yeah, so I enjoyed that, and I was playing AMP1 straight into fat cap and direct out. That's it. No delay, nothing. Just a Mercury edition, and that's all. Keep it simple. No, no pedal board, no big deal. Just real cool, simple setup. And one of my highlights of that show was finally I met Adrian Vandenberg. We have been talking for at least a year and a half, and he's using the AMP1s, actually both Mercury and Iridium edition. And he had a release of his PV signature model guitar that brought him to Mannheim. And then, of course, he took the chance to visit me or us, and we have a little snippet video that shows you what we talked about. Adrian Vandenberg.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Adrian Vandenberg at the BluGuitar booth.
Yes, Thomas, good to see you, man.
Yeah.
We've been on the phone a lot, and I finally get to see each other.
Which is very exciting for both sides, right?
It is, absolutely, yeah, because you already know that I love the Blue amps. I've dragged them all over the world already, and I will keep doing that also.
So you have a Mercury and an Iridium.
Yes.
Is there anything you prefer and why, or is it like you like that one better, or do you like them both?
Yeah, the thing is, I love them both, and I'm one of those guys. I'm not very much into like tweaking for like. What I do is I go to any amp, and in this case the Iridium or the Mercury. I tweak until I like the sound, and it works for me with both amps because there's a minimal difference because you go for your ears.
Right.
So I probably do the same thing to both amps, but just the knob's a little different until I hear what I want to hear.
And you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And for you, you told me the main difference with the amp-1s versus other modern products is the feel.
Yes. When you're a vintage guitar player like I am,
Like we are.
like we are, there's a reason why everybody keeps going back to vintage Marshalls, to vintage whatever's. There's a certain push
Yeah.
that makes you one with your sound.
Yeah.
And with a lot of, like for instance, modeling stuff,
Yeah.
as good as it sounds, especially in headphones.
Yeah.
In headphones, it's very hard to tell the difference sometimes.
Of course. Yeah.
But if you play, then sometimes it's like you're playing in a different room, and your amp is in that room, and
Yeah.
you're playing here. It's like playing with in-ears. That's why I don't play with in-ears.
Yeah.
I'd rather have,
You feel like disconnected.
Yeah.
And that I know
Yeah.
that so well. And for me, like the traditional lineup of with a real drummer playing real
Yeah.
drums
Different.
and a real guitar amp,
Yeah.
that's make a rock band, and that's the attitude and that's the energy that I bring on stage, and that makes me play like a rock guitar player.
Exactly.
You
It
know?
makes you play better, and
Yeah.
otherwise, it's easy to play on automatic pilot.
Yeah. And
it's
you
the last-
overplay,
the last-
actually. You overplay.
Yeah, because you're trying to squeeze something out of the
Yeah.
guitar
Yeah.
that you don't hear and you don't feel. So
Yeah.
you go, "Ah, gotta get it.
Yeah.
It's relaxed when you're in direct contact with your sound and with the guitar, and that's why you play guitar and not accordion.
Exactly.
That's the main reason, actually.
Yeah. So you have been recording a new album, right?
Yeah, it's out since 3 weeks.
Okay.
We're actually in the German charts.
Oh, really?
That's the first time.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't even play schlagers. We play rock.
Yeah, it's good for the Germans that they choose rock music and not schlagers.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
happy.
it-
I'm happy with that.
So very, very nice. Yeah.
But of course, I have all the albums by Peter Maffay, of course. It's like the Otis Redding of Germany.
Yeah. And then you do constant touring. I mean, from what I heard, that there's the rock cruise and
Yeah, we did months of rock cruise, and I brought my Blue amps, of course, because it's I mean, I sound like a traveling salesman, but I'm not. Thomas knows that. And
oh yeah, no, he knows what he wants, and that's most important. And I know that you're also waiting for the AMPX because
Oh, yeah.
this is like the full package that has even a tuner built in.
Wow.
Yeah. So you
Well,
don't
yeah,
bring
thing.
anything, just your guitar and the AMPX. But anyway,
That's it. Yeah, that's it. And now I know why it's called the AMPX, because X stands for something mysterious, and it's been a mystery when it's going to come out, and I'm waiting for it.
everybody's waiting for it. Hey,
Yes.
thanks so much for stepping by.
My pleasure. Yeah.
And yeah, we stay in touch.
Yeah, of
and
course. Yeah.
again, a big pleasure. And maybe one day we can even go further into details and do something on the Academy of Tone.
Yes,
Because
yes.
there's more. But
There's
thanks
more.
so much for stepping by, Adrian
pleasure.
Wandberg. Cool.
Yeah, cool, man. I gotta go down to my PC.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, there was a lot of questions about what's going on with the AMPX. And as we discussed in some earlier episode here on Academy of Tone, I am still not, or we are not finished, and I'm still trying to max out anything that is possible on that new AMPX platform for the future. It's all for good, for me, for you guys. And we did a little A/B testing scenario in a room, and I brought some of my amps here. This, what is it? The Plexi, the Vox AC30, the Blackface Super Reverb, and the JTM 45 to Mannheim to the show, so that you guys could hear in the room with no power soak, with no nothing, just the amps and the switcher to one cabinet, which was a fat cab, what the amps sound like, what the amplifiers sound like, the electronics, and what we are doing actually. So you get an impression. We have a little snippet of one part with the AMP1 versus the Super Reverb. The Super Reverb is back in the studio, as you can see here. I actually cleaned it a little bit. And with with that, I think people were astonished how close I can get with the amp1 and the clean channel to it. And then I was explaining how to get even closer by matching the output wattage, as amp1 has 100 watts and this has 2666, whatever, 40, 50 watts rectifier tube. So you need to have that limit of headroom at a certain point to be at the same feel and breakup point. And I showed people also how I would dial in the EQs, which I found very important, so people can actually follow why I use these settings. And of course, there are many settings possible with that super reverb. On the other hand, of course, I try to find the best sound, and that is my reference. Check out that little video.
Wir vergleichen.
Yeah, I know it is a different thing watching this on video, not being in the room, but maybe some of the guys that were attending that demo can now get a feel for what's actually happening in the room, what is the real deal, and how it sounds on a video. I know it doesn't even translate that well, but yeah, everybody attending could tell how close we are with what we are doing. And with that starting point of the old tube 1964 super reverb versus the 1 nanotube driven amp1 Mercury edition, being that close, I think we were at a point that it's like tube amp, tube amp, tube amp, and not a question of anything else. It was the real deal because nothing else. Guitar, amp, speaker, 2 amps, comparison, very, very similar. Okay, and then I brought my most expensive amp, the JTM45, also to the show, and this one we did with the AMPX. There's certain frequencies that this particular amp has and certain characteristics that the amp1 is not 100% yet capable of doing, but the AMPX is already. And there's a snippet about that one. A-B comparison between the JTM45 from 1965 and the AMPX version of that sound.
Gucken wir mal, was wir hier mit dem AMPX so gemacht haben.
Yeah, I can see a few people in the chat here. David Mattei was there, Clemens Freud was there. Yeah, I think it's important that these guys could feel it in the room. That it's not just a sound, that it's, I think amps you can feel, especially when you play them. When you're just listening to them, it's another thing. But in my opinion, nothing comes close to this all analog stuff, which doesn't mean that any modeling device is not good, but it's not, the strength is not in what we have been doing, like the puristic approach. And that is the important aspect of what we are doing at BluGuitar. You know, for me, BluGuitar is doing the real deal amp sounds in new, more flexible and more practical formats. So to make my and your life easier. So that's our approach. And we drive it as fast and far as we can do. So like AMPX is a project that actually is so crazy. People who understand what we are doing really understand, and not thinking, oh, it's just an analog model and have no clue. People who understand technology, they know how deep we go and how complex that is, and they definitely understand why it takes so long. Okie doke. So, and the other very, very big thing at the Guitar Summit 2023 was the introduction of this little tiny toy, which is the 1CONTROL. And what is a 1CONTROL and what is it good for? We have maybe to start with, it is a control only for AMP1. This is why we called it 1CONTROL, AMP1 control. It actually had the name AMP1 control, but it was too wide for this little panel, so we reduced it to 1CONTROL. So it only works with AMP1. And AMP1, as it is, has a few functions and features that you might not see as knobs or switches, that you actually cannot access with an accessory, with something that is, it is kind of, the functionality is built in, but you need to have a device that controls this kind of functionality. And when we started the whole thing, of course, Remote One is the luxury controller for all these functionalities. Remote One has a direct access mode to have the access to these functions that are hidden in the AMP1, and it has a preset mode, so you can memorize all the settings, put them on these 9 foot switches and then extra banks, and make presets. Okay, the same thing is possible with any MIDI controller that does send MIDI program changes and control changes when you use the MIDI 1 adapter. And for those guys who are moaning about, oh, why do you charge so much money for this little adapter? Actually, inside this 5-pole adapter here is a MIDI interface with optocoupler and a few other components. Our prototype was still that big, and I'm very happy that we could reduce it to a size that you don't even see it anymore. And we even changed to the smaller plugs for the MIDI 1 adapter to make everything as small, compact and lightweight as possible. And this is real metal, so you can step on it and it doesn't break. Because I had MIDI cables made out of plastic and they go like smashing the snail, and that's it. And this one, you can stand on it, no problem. Okay, what are these special functions and what are they good for? The first one is what we call the second gain. There is a gain control for the overdrive, and there is a clean volume. Actually, it could be called clean gain as well, because the volume on the clean channel is like the good old Fender amp, just giving you a volume and a breakup. And as people could hear in the demo at the Guitar Summit, this super reverb actually breaks up after 5, 6 and then gets dirty. And exactly this is happening in AMP1 as well. And this is what I wanted, because I wanted to offer all the sounds, not only just a nice clean sound and that's it. For me, you know, it's not one sound. An amp has a character and you want to dial in the best for you. And I don't take that decision. I make my choices and you should make your choice on what's the best setting with your guitar, with your playing style from that particular amp. And the same goes for AMP1 clean volume. So if you have a humbucker guitar, anything past 5 is already in danger of being on the edge of breakup or breaking up. And of course, that's a thing that I wanted to do, because that's what I love about my vintage amps. And these sounds are unique, outstanding, and I rely on those. If you just want to have a clean tone, do the same thing like on your Fender amp, just dial it back and you are totally clean. Same with the gain on the overdrive channels. So, looking at these two controls here, inside these two controls, there is actually a programmable, or there's a second gain, which means there is a second control that doesn't have a knob here, but it is kind of accessible or programmable even from the outside. And that could be either the remote one, it could be MIDI, or it could be the new 1CONTROL. And that gain, that second gain, gives you the option of reducing the gain that you dial in here. So when you have this all the way up on 10, you can go lower with the 1CONTROL or the remote one. There's no boost or anything, it's just a deduction of gain. And now, to have even wider spectrum of sounds available, I thought it's cool to have treble bleed capacitors on these two controls, on the clean volume and the overdrive gain. That helps to get a nice high end for guitars that need more sparkle or are a little muffly. If you have humbucker guitars, sometimes you want to have that bite. And as I designed the AMP1 with like my Strat and a humbucker, or some of my humbucker guitars, of course, I didn't want to make a Strat only amp and I didn't want to make a humbucker only amp. I thought of how can I get both sides of that spectrum. And one thing I need is I need that 10 for my Strat with a lot of gain and with all that almost muddiness, very round sound. But on the other hand, I needed that lots of gain. If you want less gain, you can dial it back here, but it's getting brighter because there's a treble bleed capacitor that keeps the treble while you reduce the gain or the clean volume. So you reduce the level, that reduces the edge of breakup point or the saturation. On the other hand, you keep, the lower you go, the more treble you get, because you keep that treble, because it's kind of bypassed with that capacitor. And that is also happening in the Fender amp with the bright switch. Okay, now in combination with these two controls, the gain here and the second gain here, I can get a huge spectrum of tones which I never could get out of either this or that. I can blend in, any combination. Maybe I make a little example here. Let me show you. So I'm on the vintage channel. I start with full gain, everything on full, and this on full. So this is like AMP1 would ship as it is. And then okay, you see it makes a lot of sense with a Stratocaster. So next thing is I dial it all the way back. Actually, let me turn it while I do the trill here. Or I can do it on the amp, and this sounds like this. So, what we can hear, the amp control gives you extra treble. Sometimes that's exactly what you want for that extra sparkle, and sometimes you think it's too bright, it's too harsh, and you want more woodiness. So what you can do is you reduce the gain here, and then let's see where's the best mixture. This, for instance, is a nice semi-overdriven sound, and it's kind of still woody and warm. Not too bright. Let me show you the difference when I do this here. See, it's a lot more twang, a lot more brightness. Both sounds are great, but they are totally different. And what we can actually do now is we can balance out the amount of gain we get from each control. So it's like, how much gain and how much brightness do I want? So if I want a little bit of that treble bleed effect, I just go back a little bit with this control here, like to 7. And then maybe you think, this one is too much gain. I reduce it here. Okay. So the other thing is, let's see how we get to a few typical sounds. It's that Stevie Ray Vaughan. You want a certain amount of gain and a certain amount of brightness. I think the brightness is pretty okay with the setting here for this guitar and what I play here. So, and now I can be the authentic blues guy by not having too much gain here. Now the gain is on 0, okay? And here's a great example. This is now an almost clean sound out of the vintage channel. I can use the boost on top of it now for my extra breakup. that's something people with boutique amps sometimes do. And I always think myself, hey, why do you pay $3,000 or whatever for your high-end whatever boutique amp if it's there? You know, with this little 1CONTROL now, you can get that sound easily without going MIDI or without having the big remote. So that's kind of widening the spectrum of tones with AMP1. And you can do this second gain, of course, also with a clean channel and with every channel. What we call the low gain mode is actually as a reduced setting of the second gain programmed into the channels of the AMP1. You can do that also with the 1CONTROL and customize your AMP1 to your preferred gain structure, so to speak. That is the second gain. The next feature that is hidden in AMP1, which is essential for the sound quality and the feel of AMP1, is the powersoak. You can access the powersoak with this tiny little control in the middle. And this goes from full power 100 watts, just like if nothing would be switched on. I can reduce it continuously down to 7 watts. And then there is that little click. So this is where we switch from the stage mode, the range of 100 down to 7 watts. Nobody plays on stage with 5 watts. Which has absolutely no loss at all, to the home mode after the click, which is 150 milliwatts watts to 2 watts, which is plenty of volume for your home. And the powersoak depends, of course, on the amount of energy it gets from the power amp stage, which can be determined by the master volume. If you don't send enough volume into the power amp stage, you will not get a sagging of saturation overdrive effect from the power amp stage. The volume changes a little bit, but this is not like a classic old school powersoak for tube amps where the volume is happening on the powersoak. Here it's the wattage. And of course the wattage changes a little bit the volume, but mind, this would be 100 watts like crazy loud. This is about 20 watts. And if you understand that you have 3 dBs is like the difference from 50 watt to 100 watt. And on a classic powersoak, there is more volume happening on that dial, and here is actually the wattage. It's the power that you send out. And it, of course, 5 watt or 7 watt tube power amp sound are pretty loud already. And then you have to have double, triple, quadruple the power to be any louder. No? So that's the point of the powersoak. What is happening here, I can show you on the clean channel. Nothing. But the moment I increase the level that goes into the power amp, like here, I get the power amp saturation from the AMP1. And that's the biggest difference to all the other products on the market. There's no other power amp on the market that is not all tube that is doing that. For me, it's so essential for the feel and the tone. the intro song, I was using a bit of powersoak. These sounds you would never get out of anything else. And that is possible with AMP1. It always was. So, well, some people never discovered that. Some people discovered that it is part of why AMP1 does sound and feel like a real tube amp and cannot be told to be another breed of amp or not as good as. By now, people actually agree on that. A couple of years back, people would still argue, well, this cannot be like a tube amp. After my demos, especially like on the Guitar Summit in the room, people now believe me. And if there is no A-B reference to switch from, there is nothing. If you think you can tell, I would make bets and you will be wrong. You can lose all your money betting. Okay. Powersoak. One thing about powersoak is I'm a bit careful with powersoak in live situations, as I believe, let's put it that way. I'm more the headroom kind of guy, and having a tamed amp from the power section is not as easy controllable as a nice preamp sound. That's why so many people use clean amps like a Fender as a pedal platform and use their pedals to create the amount of saturation from pedals. And that's way better and easier to be controlled, because you can simply increase the volume on the pedal and then you are getting the same tone but just louder. If you use the powersoak function, when you dial it back and you reach the point where it doesn't get any louder because you want the effect of driving it to the wall and getting the powersoak saturation effect, the volume is kind of stays there. And if you give more master volume on the amp, you just get more overdrive and more muddiness. And if you open up the power soak function here, you get more headroom, which actually decreases a little bit the amount of saturation. So you will change the sound. So it's a cool feature, but I'm not the biggest fan of using that live. I'm a big fan of using that for recordings, because then you can maximize the settings of all your stages of, like the preamp stage, which channel, with boost, a pedal, whatnot, and the overdrive amount that you want from your power amp stage. And gain stacking with all these elements, to me, brings the best tones. Have each stage doing a little contribution to the sounds, at least for the classic sounds. In the metal world, different story. There's a preamp that does it all, and the power amp is not important for more gain. It's just punch and volume and headroom. That's what you want in the metal world. But in the classic rock world and blues world, people, including myself, want an amp that breathes, that reacts, and that's part of that you find in the power amp section. Okay, so 1CONTROL gives you direct access to the power amp. The third knob here is a master volume. We have a second master, which is kind of like behind or in front of that overall master here. And that second master is already inside. It's being used on the remote to make a specific volume for each preset. And this is now available on the 1CONTROL, and the 1CONTROL can also do presets. We come to this later. And it gives you also the option of dialing in more or less level into the power amp section, not only for volume, but also for saturation and sagging. More means more saturation and sagging if you are on the edge of breakup in the power amp section, if you're using that, okay? So that's the reason why we have those special functionalities in AMP1. It's a very important concept to make it as a real tube amp. Without these functions, you would never get the feeling that AMP1 is creating the sound and feel of a real tube amp. And that's why other amps, pedal amps, they don't do that. And still they don't do it. We are on the market for whatever, in my world, 10 years, because I had an AMP1 even before you had one. But it is, yeah, I knew that years ago, and that's critical. It's not just volume, it's sound. And every stage of an amplifier plays a role in creating sounds. Okay. The new 1CONTROL gives you access to these 3 parameters, but it also gives you a preset mode to organize settings in a different way. But before we go into that, let's go back to the options we have with AMP1 as it is and with other devices, so we get a clear picture of what is new with the 1CONTROL. Okay, let's see the graphic about the 5 ways for AMP1. The first one is the standard mode. And I believe there's different player types. There's the guy who is only having 1 sound or maybe 2 sounds. And that's, I think, the basic stuff. So when I designed the AMP1, I thought the layout should be, there's a clean channel, there's an overdrive channel, there's the boost, and there's a reverb, and that's all you need. Okay, and this is how it ships when there's no special mode engaged or nothing. So I think every guitar player can refer to that. No matter what style, no matter what guitar, and it's easy to dial in. So sometimes people press this button and they think, oh, it's broken, it only switches to vintage. But the idea was pre-select what kind of guy you are on this overdrive world and dial in your clean tone. Be happy, have a boost, which gives you an extra amount of gain or a little slightly different tone within that channel. And that's all you have. Okay. I hope we can agree that this is a standard scenario. And I started with a standard scenario in the 2-channel operational mode. Okay. So if we go back for the graphics, we can see there is a mode where we can have our 3 favorite sounds as presets programmed into the internal foot switches. So the way to do that, I've done this many times. Let's get rid of the 1CONTROL. So this is the 2. What I do is I simply dial in what I like. For instance, I want a clean sound with a boost and a reverb, and I want that on the first foot switch. So I set this up. I cannot memorize the EQ settings and volumes. Therefore, we have the custom controls, including volumes, to match all that stuff. That's the reason for the custom controls. Sound flexibility, and especially when we go for presets with the AMP1 itself. So, example, clean, boost, reverb, store to the first works like this. I press and hold this foot switch, wait for the blinking, and the next foot switch will recall that later. So I do my favorite vintage channel, no boost, no reverb, AC/DC as pure as it gets. Press and hold the reverb on, wait for the blinking. Next foot switch will recall the vintage channel, no boost, no reverb. And then I want a whatever classic channel with boost for the Gary Moore and some reverb, and I program that into the third foot switch. So when I press any of these switches, nothing happens. So I have to switch the mode to go to preset mode to recall that. Press and hold this button while powering it on. Okay. And here is my clean. There is my vintage, no reverb, no boost. And there is my classic with everything. And it will memorize everything for as long as we live. No? Power goes off, power goes on. I can do it by hand, or the stage cable is broken and somebody plugs it in. You continue where it switched off. Okay? So that is a very powerful way to use this little box here with just what is available on the AMP1. There is the little trick of having a fourth sound. Well, I could have, for instance, a vintage channel. I could have a vintage channel dry with nothing, no reverb, no boost. I could have a vintage channel here with boost, and I could have a vintage channel with boost and reverb as a preset. That's also possible. Whatever you want. But as AMP1 is a 4-channel amp, some people want to have access to the 4 channels. And that can be achieved by programming the 3 overdrive sounds into these internal foot switches and have the external foot switch to access the clean channel. Okay? And the second switch here gives you the boost functionality. That's kind of on a higher level, on a higher layer. Just like these two in standard mode, they go with this foot switch when this is plugged in, when it is, or even when it is in preset mode. Okay? So my tip would be, you make all the, you have the vintage here, you have the classic here and the modern there, and you switch off the boost for all the channels, and then you can go for clean, vintage, classic, modern, and switch on the boost or off the boost, like a stomp box. That's the way to do it. If you are a boost fanatic like myself, you can program the boost into all the into all the presets in the AMP1, and then you can switch it off. So this is the option with the external foot switch, double foot switch, and AMP1 as it is. Okay. Next option would be the famous remote, which is currently out of production. Everybody knows. That's why the prices went up for used remotes. We will bring it back next year once AMPX is finished, so we can have the remote as a controller pedal for both our AMP1 and the AMPX. I didn't want to make a production run of a remote once and then some people would buy it and would regret it. I know it's a bit tough at the moment, but still a few are available and it's an option. If you have one, you are lucky. If you don't need it, you are lucky too. And if you want to use MIDI and your own foot controller or MIDI controller, that's a MIDI 1 adapter. Plug it into the foot switch socket, which is our multifunctional socket for stupid standard foot switches like this gentleman, or the MIDI 1 adapter or the remote one or the new 1CONTROL. All these devices are plugged into our foot switch. Good news is the foot switch socket has the power, supplies the external devices, the 1CONTROL or the remote one or our MIDI interface inside here with power. So we are smart, we don't need an extra power supply. So just going back to the anything I told you like now, if you want a second master volume, it's possible with a passive volume control that is a second master reducing the volume. That would be plugged into the effects loop, could be at the end of it. It could be a volume pedal, or it could be one of those that simply has a rhythm volume with reduced volume. And then when you bypass the pedal, you have full volume, which means you probably set up the master, the internal master, a bit higher to get that extra headroom. So that always has been working, and that's a nice solution as well. So in the graphic, I think, do we have another option, or just see all the options here? See. Yeah, we can see the preset mode plus the external foot switch I talked about, and you can see the remote one, the full control with our remote one, and then there is MIDI, and MIDI is giving you the access to the second gain, to the powersoak, and the second master. The functionalities that are not accessible here. And of course, all the rest, which means which channel, which is the boost on off, is the reverb on, is the effects loop on off. All these functionalities can be controlled via MIDI, via the remote one, and now with the new 1CONTROL. Okay, I think now it's time to introduce Julian Preuß. Tada!
Hey there, once
Yeah.
again.
So, and he is our engineer and of course the master when it comes to complex digital programming for little devices or big devices like AMPX. Okay, I think this is the most compact device that is capable of making the AMP1 the most powerful setup possible. And the beauty for the guitar player is it's so small, you can put it on your pedal board. For me, some people don't need it, which is good. My personal opinion is always, we offer solutions for problems. If you don't have a problem, be happy. But I don't want to leave you guys alone with your problem. So therefore, it's like I'm fighting to get even, the last guy a solution for whatever. And this is what happens here all the time. People come in with a 4-channel JVN 410 and they leave the room with a Mercury edition saving 18 kilograms on their travel weight. And this is as compact as it gets.
Yeah. It's a similar approach to save as much weight as possible.
Yep.
And still trying to solve everyone's problem. Yeah. So I basically shrink the functionality of the remote one with less switches. As you can see, there's one switch left.
Yeah.
Into as small as possible housing,
Yeah.
and added the 3 controls. And the nice thing about having the 3 knobs at the surface is that without knowing anything about the product, except you need to plug it in with the patch cable into the remote circuit, you can access these 3 parameters.
Yeah.
Which you did without any manual, just plug it in, it works.
And it works. And you can twiddle the knobs and you can probably hear and feel the sound difference of second gain, master and power soak.
Yeah.
And that's the intuitive part of it.
Yeah.
For me, it's always important that we do complex stuff, but we try to get things as intuitive as possible. We had some other MIDI controllers here in the house, MIDI 1CONTROL or what? No, what was it? I forgot the name. They can do similar things, but they are so complicated. And this product here is, of course, tailored to match the AMP1 and make it as easy as possible, even though we know it's a bit complex.
Yeah. Anyway, there are people who will want to do more than just setting a different sound with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to, for example, the simplest case is you want to be able to have a solo boost or maybe a combination of gain boost and solo boost.
Yeah, here, I mean, this is what I talked about, the standard volume passive volume pedal, like the minus booster here. This is only volume.
Yeah.
As a musician, sometimes you want not only volume, you also want a little bit more gain, because it feels different when you play at a different volume. Like if you want a rhythm sound and a lead sound, I personally switch from channels, but sometimes I want the same channel again, just on different volumes. That's also okay. The beauty of this device here is it memorizes not only the volume, very intuitively you can simply dial the gain and see if that makes more sense for what you want. And then it's not just the volume, it's also at a different volume you feel the guitar differently. Maybe you want less gain, maybe you want a little bit more gain, and that's directly accessible.
Yeah. On the other hand, there are those kind of guys who would like to have presets.
Yep.
And save the combination of all the channels, the boost, the reverb, the 3 controls, and maybe the effects loop on a few presets, and that is also possible. To make that possible in this simple and small housing with only one internal foot switch, the pedal has 2 modes. The first one is called the direct access mode, and the second one is called the preset mode. Basically the same naming as for AMP1 and for remote one. Yeah?
Of course, I mean, we try to make everything the same. You know, we use the same phrase, we use the same colors. So the direct access mode here is red, and the preset mode is blue. And the same goes for 1CONTROL. So we don't know if this is now in direct access mode or in preset mode, but we will find out very simple and soon by just plugging it in. Let's see.
Maybe you plug it in, and since Lucas is gone right now,
Yeah.
I will switch to the top-down camera.
Okay, this is Julian is not only a great engineer, he is also a
So
Okay, let's see what we are doing.
there
here.
we are.
Okay, I will plug it in, and what we will see is blinking of red.
So 2 times blinking red means direct access mode.
Yeah, and what happens in direct access mode is we have the following functionalities. The sound controls, as we talked about, and we have also the option to program like 2 settings of these 3 controls into the one control.
Yeah.
And there is like a red preset or a red sound.
I would say to separate it from the preset mode, I would say there is a red sound and a blue sound.
Yeah.
And those sounds contain the gain and the master, but not the power soak.
The powersoak is a global setting.
Is here global. Yeah.
In the direct access mode, it is global.
Yeah. So I would say let's approach it.
Yeah.
You dial a combination of gain and master as you like it.
Yeah, okay.
And then we will save that sound to the pedal.
I want my vintage on 0 gain. With full master, okay? So this sound is what I like as my red sound. How to memorize it?
Press and hold the one control internal foot switch.
And there we go.
It starts blinking red.
Yeah.
Now you can confirm and change your sound again if you like, but you don't need to.
No, I like it.
And
then,
we just confirm. Tschuk.
and now this is your red sound.
This is your red sound.
Okay. I call this like the blue sound on the vintage channel. Okay. The next sound I want is a rock sound from the same
Yeah.
channel.
So a total of 2 sounds can be saved that way, which you will toggle pressing the foot switch. Don't do it right now since we are still programming. Yeah?
Okay.
So now you set your second sound
Yeah.
using the knobs.
Okay. So let's see. Blues. I want rock. Now I increase the gain. Maybe I feel it's a bit too loud, so I reduce it just for fun. So this is the sound
Okay.
I want, and now I can save that.
Again, you can press and hold the foot switch until it starts to blink blue
Press and hold, starts to blink blue,
and confirm.
and confirm. So, and now I have a blue sound.
And now, still, while you are in those 2 presets, you can still change the power soak to
Whatever like
a lower volume.
Yeah. Give it at least the
Yeah.
stage one. So that's how you dial in, for example, 2 great sounds on the vintage channel. We have another socket here, and on this socket we can have that double foot switch.
And since people are already asking, it's not possible to connect a MIDI one to this socket.
No.
Because there is no phantom power of the phantom power.
Yeah.
Only one at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's also not possible to connect simultaneously a MIDI one with like a Y
No.
plug.
Yeah.
No, please
Don't do
please
that.
don't do that. It won't break, but it also won't work.
Yeah, okay. So now we have a standard passive foot switch. We are talking latching foot switch, not
Latching
momentary.
type, yeah.
Not momentary. And these two foot switches gives us extra functionality in this mode, okay? So this toggles now between classic and modern. And this nothing.
Replex. Where's the replex? You need the replex.
Why? I
Or
have to-
something else in the effects loop. Because
Ah.
this switches on and off the effects loop.
Okay, well, I engage my... Yeah, DD2 in the effects loop. So effects loop, and as a plus, we can use that to go to classic and modern.
Yeah.
As
Why is it like that?
Yeah.
Because with that combination, now you suddenly have clean and vintage here. This amp is in preset mode.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Okay, I forgot to switch it back.
Okay.
Go back. So
I already thought, what's
yeah.
this now?
So wait a minute. Now we
Yeah. So, off and on.
yeah. Let's see.
Sorry. Here is classic and modern,
Yeah.
and here is clean and vintage. So basically, the two-channel mode here is now extended
To another
to-
two-channel mode.
Yeah,
and
to have
together
two
it makes
two-channel modes. Yeah,
together it gives you the access of the four channels.
exactly. But it also is possible to use this direct modus in combination with the AMP1 preset,
Preset
mode.
mode.
So you could have
Three
three
different
presets here and use the same kind of volume gain boost combination on all three channels.
Right. So direct access mode.
Yeah.
From what I see, a few people get new ways to approach their mentality of switching. It's another option. You know, we have the option of the internal presets. Now we have the presets. We have the option of the direct access mode and the channels here with the extra functionality of the double foot switch. It's all an option. You don't have to use it. Nobody needs anything. You know, just have a great tone, whatever you. But if you need options, we give you options. Okay, and then we should talk about the real presets in the 1CONTROL.
So the background of this is in this direct access mode, the pedal basically mimics as if it was a remote one. And that's why it has the direct access to these functions that only exist in the AMP1, in the remote one. You can't do this via MIDI learn, never. Because it's actually program changes. But anyway, let's change to the preset mode, and we do that by switching everything off.
Press and hold,
the control here,
and then switch on the amp. And
and
now,
now it blinks blue.
blue. And this is the preset mode. And by the way, just to clarify it, we have a single tip sleeve mono jack to jack cable here, and we have the double foot switch, of course, with tip ring sleeve stereo. No, so that's what's needed for that extra foot switch. You could also have a single foot switch, but then you would simply switch only the tip, and the tip is switching the effects loop.
I think the tip is switching the effects loop.
Okay, good. Mr. Programmer.
Yeah.
Oh, what do you program? Okay. Yeah, I see the comment here. There is a manual on the website too, but we will update that manual. We just worked on it. It was last minute thing we've done before the Guitar Summit. And we will work on this to get it even easier to understand. But this video here helps you as well. Okay, now we are in preset mode.
We are already in preset mode.
So.
And this preset mode, all foot switches send program changes. And so the AMP1 can now use MIDI learn to connect a preset to that program changes, and that preset will actually be saved in the AMP1. So since this AMP1 was here, nobody knows what was with it before. Maybe it already has program changes programmed to it.
I don't know.
Seems not. So
okay, they are fresh.
It seems to be fresh. That's good.
Yeah.
Now, what is the function of the LED so that you know where you are? There is an A and an B preset again on this switch. And there is each one preset on those external switches. And when you press those, the LED will turn off to tell you that you are not on an internal preset.
Okay.
So what do we do? Standard MIDI learn procedure. Yeah. On the AMP1, you set your sound.
I want my standard, which is clean boost reverb on preset 1.
By the way, the first thing we should start with is the effects loop. Do you want to save any sound that has the effects loop off?
Okay, let's do it for the clean sound. I don't want my delay on the.
Okay.
Get rid of.
So let's switch the effects loop off here, and that is, I guess, the most complicated function of the pedal, because
there is no switch.
It needs to do two things at the same time.
Yeah.
Lucas is asking.
No.
I didn't read it. Silver, no effects loop.
Yeah. Well, the thing is,
there was like rumors that this AMP1 Silver is not working at all with this pedal.
But it is.
It is working with this pedal, first of all. And the only thing that is not working with the AMP1 Silver is what I will do now.
Yeah.
Switch off the effects loop in MIDI learn mode.
Yeah.
AMP1 Silver can also not do that with a MIDI 1.
Yeah.
Because the functionality
was not implemented.
Doesn't exist yet on the AMP1. So now the effects loop is on, right? Okay.
Yes.
Then I press and hold and I switch it off. Okay.
Magic.
It's gone. So
press and hold, switch it off the effects loop.
Yeah. And the problem with that is, if you already learned a MIDI preset on this switch here, it will first recall the MIDI preset and then switch off the effects loop. So, as soon as you have preset on it, you should not use that functionality, because it will just confuse you if the preset first switches the effect loop on and then the long press switches it off again or whatever. Yeah,
that's confusing. Yeah,
best to use this really special thing only in the process while programming it.
Yeah. So that's my clean sound. I'm happy with that.
Okay.
So I can do my MIDI learn by.
You can do your MIDI learn. You can also set something here if you like.
Or let me think about it.
If you want to even change it, you don't.
here's one thing. No, I do this as a second preset. Some people, anyway, I just dial in what I like. So I'm using the boost, but I will reduce the gain to have not too much breakup. Okay, sounds good to me. I like that sound.
Okay. So,
MIDI learned.
on which foot switch should that sound be recallable?
We are talking about, let's say I have my clean sound here.
Okay. So,
MIDI learn.
press and hold boost to enable the MIDI learn. It blinks, and
Yeah.
while it keeps blinking, you
Press.
press the button and it will stop blink. And as soon as you press that button again, it will recall
Exactly this
exactly
second.
this sound, including gain, master, and power soak.
Yeah.
And the effect loops
Yeah.
setting.
Okay, so that's nice. Next thing I would like is, for instance, my whatever vintage channel, and I want way too much gain. Reduce the gain to 0. Sounds good.
Okay. Press and hold the boost and then
Wait
the
for
second foot switch on the 1CONTROL. Yeah. So there we are.
now. I want my solo sounds here. So I go for classic.
And I guess you want the
On.
effects loop on.
Now I want my delay.
So let's switch the effects loop on again. And it's good that we didn't save any sound here yet, because otherwise that would be kind of confusing.
Yeah.
So
Now
there,
effects loop on.
there it is. Okay.
So now I can do. Let me check if I like the settings. Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Then do the
Same procedure as every year.
yeah, Miss Sophie. Okay, we go here and
Check.
bam. So
Now we have this sound on the blue preset.
Yeah.
On which preset it will save is actually depending on what
Wait,
was active
wait,
before.
yeah.
Because it will always save on
The
that
new one.
preset that was sent the last time.
Okay.
Here. Yeah?
So, and then I want more gain. Let's have the modern. Here's something for a change. I reduce the gain here. But use the boost instead. No, different gain structure.
Okay, then press and hold boost, and here again.
Boop.
So, and now it's on the red preset.
So,
Now let's see. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
So what I told before was actually wrong.
it
The
saves.
preset that it saves on is the one that lights up after.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sends the
The
first
fresh
program change, second, first, second. Yeah, and it will be on the one that is lit up after. Okay, so,
So.
you
See, and that's the good thing. Every switch on the amp1 is still on a higher level, and you can use it.
Yeah.
And it does what it does. The boost is the boost, the reverb is the reverb, and this goes back to clean or overdrive.
Wherever you are, yeah.
No? And that's also part of the amp1 concept. It's an option that you can use. Just make your own layout of
Yeah.
how to get the sounds.
Yeah. So there is one exception. The preset mode of the amp1 is not compatible with this preset mode. You can't use both at the same time.
Double preset mode
Yeah.
is not possible. So it's either you go on preset mode with the amp1 and have that in the direct access
Yeah.
mode, the 1CONTROL, or you have the preset mode on the 1CONTROL and have the direct access of the amp1.
Yeah, exactly.
So that
or
makes
both in direct access, of course, works
also, but not
But
presets.
not two times preset mode
Yeah.
won't work. Yeah.
So guys, that was basically
Yeah,
it.
that's it. That's the 1CONTROL.
Yeah. Any questions? Is the 1CONTROL able to power in series LED for dual foot switch?
I have tried a dual foot switch with LEDs. That works.
But it's the
I
same.
can guarantee that it
Every-
will work with every foot switch in the world.
Let me
Because
see if I have my foot switch here, and see what with this is. This is the Laney one, and see what this is doing. Disconnect. Plug this fellow in here, and it seems to work. Ah, here we have overhead. Okay.
yeah, the LEDs don't work really here.
No.
Oh, they work.
they
It
work.
only looks it's like the mirror of the light. Looks for me like
Yeah.
both LEDs are always
No,
on.
it actually works. This works, and we have the same compatibility issue with certain foot switches. The reason is some foot switches use resistors in line with the LEDs, and our switching needs a certain voltage drop, and that can get it out
Yeah.
of the range. And
But-
certain LEDs too.
Yeah, but I have slightly improved the circuit that
There's more range.
there should be more range.
Yeah.
Because what the pedal is doing, it's actually measuring the analog voltage on the switch and using that to switch.
So
yeah.
we cannot guarantee for everything. You should try it out. But as we can
Yeah.
see, no, our first try with with the foot switch, and it works. Laney is a great company, makes great foot switches. So
Okay. Lucas had a question before that I meanwhile already forgot again. Is powersoak and second master and gain memorizable in AMP1 preset mode?
it is memorizable in the 1CONTROL preset mode.
Yeah, but not in the AMP1
preset mode.
preset mode.
No, it's exactly the same thing like with the remote one. No, think of this like a micro remote one. It has the same functionality as a remote one. It has direct access mode. It has
Yeah, correct. But in the remote mode one, the presets are handled differently.
okay.
So, yeah, it's not exactly the same. By the way, I think remote one is also not compatible with AMP1 preset mode.
Did I
I
ever
think it will. I think it's like it kicks you out of the preset if you load a remote preset along with an AMP1 preset mode preset, but I'm not entirely sure. Let's try it out. Yeah.
You know, we've done so many things and we forget about everything.
Anyway, what is possible is you can save an individual channel gain to AMP1 while the pedal is in direct access mode. The same as it's possible with remote one.
Nee, with the remote
Does
one,
it kick you out? No.
it's very bizarre. It doesn't work properly.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So,
As I said,
yeah,
it's not compatible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay. Good to know. This is the world of software. I see a question here. Are the powersoak work after remove one control? What?
Is the powersoak still working after you have removed the one control? Translation from this English to another English.
Yeah.
Yeah? It is possible by like a key combination on the AMP1 to save the powersoak once into AMP1.
Yeah. It's like we have that.
We have videos for it.
Yeah.
I don't know where. Maybe Lucas, maybe you can in a few minutes post the link to BluGuitar.
Yeah. For that video.
Yeah. That video is with remote one, but as long as the pedal is in direct mode,
it's the same.
It's the same.
Yeah. I see a question. When will these be available in the USA and price? We decided to have this as a quick release here at the Guitar Summit. We will have some in the German web store for the Europeans and the Germans. And NAMM, which is January, should bring the whole thing to the US. The reason for that is, let's see how the feedback is, how many we need. You know, we manufactured a few and we see demand, and then for the US. Here in Europe is 150 euros. It's gonna be similar in the US. There's no big thing. If so, it's maybe $9 difference. Let's see at the exchange rate. We don't want to cheat anybody and have extra things. So it will be an equivalent price. What other questions do we get here?
There is an AMPX question. Thomas und Julian, könnt ihr mir eins unterschreiben und mir in die Schweiz schicken?
Yeah, okay. Switzerland.
Switzerland
I
is
tell you what
something that we've been thinking about for a long
time. Hey, Switzerland is not the European Union. We have to deal with Switzerland in the future big time because our Swiss distributor quit doing the job. And currently we need to find a way how we can supply the dealers and the customers. So this is on our list. Send us an email, we try and learn how to do it. But bear with us because we are not experts, especially when it goes into that weird shipping outside the EU, you know, with all these super special documents. And we don't know what kind of taxes there are and import and blah, blah, blah. We'll find a solution for you, but bear with us, it might take a while. It's on our agenda to fix that problem in general. How, you know, by next year we will have BluGuitar able to deliver to Switzerland direct and with the dealers, the good dealers that we have in Switzerland.
Someone seems to have already tried a Vox double foot switch with LEDs. So that's nice, another foot switch that works definitely.
Okay, cool.
Thanks. By the way, if you find a foot switch that doesn't work, you can write an email to me, bugs@bluguitar.com.
Yeah. And then we have a look and let you know maybe what to change.
We will see. Maybe you will have to send a foot switch here if we can't get it. I've been using a simple IPB1 in the effects loop as a volume boost for solos. Some overdrive pedals seem to become muddy or similar. The picture is in front of it. When I engage it, will the second master not have this?
The second master is sheer volume, no sound.
Yeah.
That's important. We just increase, or better to say, even decrease the volume before the power amp and the saturation of the power amp, which means you're not changing any of the tone. Some people using boosters in the effects loop as a second master volume, it's okay in a certain range,
Yeah.
but
At some point you will get the tube to a point where it becomes a hard overdrive.
yeah, hard clip, and that's not pleasant. There's a certain range where the tube actually can be nice if you like that, but if you want to stay neutral on the sound, just volume, deduct the volume, not increase the volume.
Yeah.
That helps. Other people use sometimes EQ pedals to change the frequencies while whatever boosting or reducing. That's also, there's many ways.
Okay.
One control.
Once again, one control will work as well with the AMP1 Silver. Yes, again, with the limitations of the AMP1 Silver regarding MIDI learn, which means that it doesn't have the control change to switch the effects loop on and off. And so that long press thing in preset mode that I showed
it's not
earlier
working with the Silver.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
The command is missing in the Silver edition, but all the rest works. That's good news.
Yeah.
At the beginning, we decided, we don't recommend anything Silver, but then we had too many people asking, like knocking on the back door, can we use it with Silver? And then we thought, okay, yeah.
And actually, like people like being sad about that because they think it doesn't work at all.
No. Everything works except for the effects loop with the Silver. Yeah. And we didn't mention Iridium edition. Iridium, it works either way for Iridium or Mercury or Silver. No? So all our AMP1s, one control for all. I see some comment here, linear power boost pedal just craps out. Well, that's the thing. If you have increased that volume in the effects loop, as Julian said, the tube is the next stage, and there's a range where it switches to hard clip, and this is like not pleasant anymore.
But it might also be not the true tube, but the pedal itself. And in that case, you can try to switch the effect level to low.
Okay. Our effects loop has a -10 +4 dB switch on the button. We show you here, and this switch can be accessed with a 1/4-inch cable. So switch in, switch out. Maybe the camera can show. This is out. This is in. Out, in, out, in. And you can see when it's in, it's +4 dB, which is a high level, and -10 is a low level.
Yeah. And what I wanted to say is it might be that the high level, which is studio level, turns your boost into an overdrive, and then it starts to saturate.
Yeah, maybe your pedal cannot handle this much of level. Yeah. Then you should switch to the -10 dB, and you are in the range of any pedal, and then you are safe. So
there is a video.
We have a video where we explain powersoak.
You want to know if that is the video that I meant before? No, it isn't.
Okay, Lucas is still trying to find.
Search for individual channel gain.
Individual channel gain. Yeah, this is how to. Is this? Can everybody see the screen now? Can you share this? Okay, super. Because this is
we go to our own support site to find our own video.
Yeah, and hey guys, and this is so important even for myself because we create all that stuff, but we're living in the future and we forget about things in the past. And therefore, our BluGuipedia is the knowledge base even for ourselves. And we have to put all our knowledge on that side because no one of us remembers everything. My head is full. It's like new shit in, old shit out. And then it's like one day, especially when AMPX is coming, it's too much information and some of the other stuff will be lost. And therefore the BluGuipedia is key.
So can you please search just for the keyword individual and then let's see. Yeah. First try. This also works only for Mercury and Iridium edition. So there is another difference.
Yeah.
And this is the video that I mean.
Yeah. I remember when we shot that video. Yeah. So you can find that on our BluGuipedia. That's
how to program the gain into the AMP1 using the remote one or
the one control.
And then you can remove the one control and AMP1 will memorize that gain until the next factory reset.
Yeah. Okay, factory reset will erase every of these settings.
As well as all MIDI presets.
Yeah.
Which you should do if you want to reprogram those to prevent your own confusion. Yeah. So I think.
I think, yeah, okay, I see the German. Ich melde mich noch einmal mit Thomas. Yeah. I know many people's in the chat here. So if there's anything we can do for you, send us emails. We have planned a few things, of course. NEM is not that far from now for the US guys, and we are working on getting better with international shipment in general, because every day something needs to be shipped internationally, and we are not the experts yet. But that's on my wish list that we as BluGuitar gets better in this aspect to make this a good process.
And Pooh Ninja, as always, has the best comment.
R&D isn't free.
Nor is memory storage in
biological
my biological memory storage is severely limited.
When I have to remind Julian for so many things, I give him a call. And the best thing is we have, like today, we did a physical thing. He had put the paper before the door. So, or what did you put?
That was external storage.
Yeah.
Without any biological storage, I knew that I need to take the documents and one of those pedals because I couldn't get out otherwise.
Yeah. By the way, do we have that table of function to kind of sum it up again, what the one control can do for you? No, this would be nice. And again, it's just an option for you guys. It's not, you don't need everything on this planet, but we offer more and more choices. So this is what we have. The one control enhances the capabilities of your BluGuitar 1 with access to internal controls. that you usually don't get. So, or you have a remote one, MIDI, and a MIDI controller. So, one of the easiest things is 2 master volumes. Then you don't have to have your booster or minus booster or anything. It simply just plug it in, dial back the master, and use the 1CONTROL. And you have like a rhythm volume and a lead volume. That's a classic, and it's totally sound neutral. The sound does not change.
The same you can do with just the gain by turning up the master to full and leave it there.
Yeah.
Then your memorized sound only contains a different gain but no different master.
Right. Or you have both.
You can combine both
Yeah.
and change master as well as gain.
Yeah. Okay, then the powersoak on that knob in the middle. If you want to work with that, my hint is for recording, or if you have a very stable setup. Me personally, I play with different rooms and different settings. The powersoak is not on my biggest wish list to have that live. But for recording, it's always a great tool to tweak the sound a bit more. But if you are that kind of guy that knows exactly, I want my 30 watts, then dial it in there and you're good to go.
Then you have the effects loop, switchable in direct access mode by the external foot switch for AMP1 Mercury, AMP1 Iridium and AMP1 Silver. And in the preset mode still for AMP1 Iridium and AMP1 Mercury, but not for AMP1 Silver because it does not support that command.
Yeah, okay, then we have the preset mode on the 1CONTROL with up to 4 presets. If you don't have an external foot switch, you would have 2 presets on the internal foot switch. If you have a double foot switch connected to the 1CONTROL, you have 2 more, which sums up with 4 presets. And the presets include gain, master, powersoak, boost, reverb, everything a preset can be stored. Yeah.
In any case, the internal LED will show you what you are doing. If you edited a sound or a preset, it will turn purple. If you didn't edit it, it will stay red or blue for the 2 sounds or presets.
Yeah.
You don't need any external power supply. You can use it with or without the external foot switch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's powered by AMP1. So
Powered by AMP1, by phantom power. Yeah, and as small as it will probably get.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can make it
I
even smaller.
I have only one pedal that is smaller than ours here. Maybe it's not even smaller, but it's not. It's a different format. It's it's a bit wider and not as tall, but I think the micro pedals is small enough, and they're still easy to use. That's something I like about that pedal size. It's still not a toy feel. You can have a real good switch, and you have it's a good feel. It's not like I'm not a rock star anymore. I have to be careful.
Yeah. Anyway, when you use it on your pedal board, you should either Velcro it or you remove the screws and go with 2 screws from below.
Yeah.
And lock it on the pedal board so that it doesn't fly away when you kick on it to enthusiastically.
Yeah. I'm actually a fan of not velcroing it, but that depends on the style of pedal board you have. No?
Yeah.
My own pedal board has a very thin bottom, so I can screw things from the outside. And what I have done on my pedal board, with the remote one, I removed that big metal plate here, which actually adds a lot of weight, and which is okay if you have the remote one just by itself. So the housing is aluminium, but when this is connected to my pedal board, I mean it's super sturdy, and I save a lot of weight by not having that. And it's actually also nicely sealed and closed, so there's no dust coming inside. Just a little hint for that remote one. Again. Hey guys, I think this was our summary, excuse me, of the Guitar Summit and the new 1CONTROL pedal. We always take something back from these events. This time I have my flu, but it will be gone in a few days. It's nothing heavy. I'm actually happy about that, because when I have it now, my immune system is prepared for winter. I don't get anything anymore. So
Hopefully.
I'm not getting sick that many times a
Yeah,
year.
I know.
That's pretty.
I think you weren't sick since you had COVID.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's 2 years ago or something like that. It's pretty long, and it's not heavy thing. It's just a standard flu. Okay, guys. Thanks for joining in. We will have a few more pedals in the web shop. Hopefully by Friday. We're working on that. We will also produce a few more. So we will have a supply for you guys ready. Yeah, you find those, and then we work on the rest of the world later. So it's all in progress. Take care. See you guys next week, same time, same place. Cheers. Bye-bye.